Shalom Aleichem, my dear brothers and sisters. I just recently watched a fascinating debate, or maybe actually discussion, between brother Joshua, and Sheikh Mohammed. And they were talking about the Sabbath, and it's actually for me, it was very interesting, and I'll tell you why. Sheikh Mohammed brought up a point that is, I guess, written somewhere maybe in the Islamic sources. I'm not sure if it's in the Quran or in the Hadith, about certain Jews that set up a trap for fish before the Sabbath, so that the fish would actually get caught on the Sabbath. And so this was the case, and he was asking Joshua if this is correct in the eyes of the halacha, meaning of the law, or not. And I would like to comment on that. And the reason I found it very fascinating is because this is the exact argument that's brought down in the Talmud between Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai. These are two schools of thought in Judaism that existed, more than 2,000 years ago. And so according to Bet Hillel, that only a Jew is required to observe the Sabbath. When I say only a Jew, meaning a Jew, his animals that belong to him, his slaves, if he has any slaves. So only they are required to observe the Sabbath. Now, according to Bet Shammai, not only they are required to observe the Sabbath, but also the utensils, meaning the non-living possessions that the Jew has, also are required, in quotes, to observe the Sabbath. Now, what do I mean? So, for example, if a Jew, let's say, owns some kind of a windmill or something, right, and let's say does work on the Sabbath by itself, it operates and grinds, whatever, right, without the Jewish person, actually involving in it on the Sabbath. So, according to Bet Shammai, the utensils of the Jew are also required to observe the Sabbath, meaning Jew is not allowed to set up some kind of utensils that they would do work automatically. This is the opinion of Bet Shammai. Now, all agree, this is all rabbis, and it's very clear in the Torah, that regular non-Jews are not required to observe the Sabbath. Why? Because the Torah specifically says that the Sabbath is a covenant between God and the Jewish people. So for the non-Jews, no requirement to observe the Sabbath at all. The non-Jews are only required to observe the 7 categories of laws that were given to Noah, peace be upon him. However, when it comes to the possessions of the Jews, whether it's an animal belonging to a Jew, a slave belonging to a Jew, or like a utensil belonging to a Jew. So when it comes to slave and slave and the animal of the Jew, then again, there's no argument in this. Everybody agrees that they are supposed to observe the Sabbath. However, when it comes to the non-living things, like, let's say, certain utensils, then that's the argument between Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai. Now, the ruling is that we usually follow the opinion of Bet Hillel. So according to the final halacha, the utensil of a Jew does not need to observe the Sabbath. So technically, a person is allowed to set up a trap before Sabbath, and even though the trap will catch animals on the Sabbath itself, there's no Torah prohibition. Why? Because the Jew is actually not doing any work on the Sabbath, according to Bet Hillel, and this is the accepted view. Now, the point I would like to make is that I think, this is my opinion, I could be wrong about this, but I think we can logically prove that the law in this regards, at least, should be followed by the opinion of the Bet Hillel, the lenient opinion, and I'll tell you why. Logically, obviously, I'm not trying to decide between the two. We have the Shulchan Aruch that already has decided, but I just want to give a logical reason, and I'll tell you why. If this was not the case, for example, one of the prohibitions we have on the Sabbath is that we're not allowed to work the land, like plow, let's say water the garden, irrigate the garden, anything to, you know, enhance the growing of the crops, plants, trees on the Sabbath. So if the law would be like the Bet Shammai, it sounds to me that as Jews we would be prohibited from eating any fruits, vegetables, bread, anything that grows. Why? Because let's say a person planted a tree, right? Or crop, I don't know, wheat, before the Sabbath. And even though he's not working on the Sabbath, what happens on the Sabbath? The rain falls and the crops grow better, right? Or they get irrigated, or there's some kind of compost going on the ground. So therefore, even though the Jew didn't plant the seeds on the Sabbath itself, he planted it, let's say, before Sabbath. Work is being done on the Sabbath by nature itself, right? The rain falls, and therefore, if the utensils of a Jew, meaning the possession of the Jew, is not allowed to have work being done to it on the Sabbath, then what would end up happening is that we would be prohibited from then eating these fruits. Why? Because they were produced on the Sabbath, right? Just like, you know, setting a trap right before the Sabbath and the fish gets caught on the Sabbath. If we were to say that this is not allowed, to use that fish, to take the fish out after the Sabbath, then it technically sounds to me that then Jews would not be allowed to eat any fruits and vegetables or anything that grows, bread, anything that grows on the Sabbath. Why? Because all these things were grown on the Sabbath at least once in their lifetime, right? So I think this was my little logical argument in support of the Bet Hillel. So this is, thank you for watching.